Can't hear you. Can you hear me? I can't hear you. You're not audible. I can't hear. I can only hear you on the phone.
Okay, but yeah, just try using a headphone.
All right. Can you speak now? We'll check if you still can't hear you. Still can't hear you. I'll try to log out and log in again. Am I audible?
You are 100% audible, but whether you can hear me. Can you hear me? You're mute. Armaan, you're mute.
Yes, I can hear you now. I think there was some glitch. It's sorted.
Okay, okay, great. Audience, can you hear me? Whoever viewers who are, yes, Vivek, can you hear me? Please tell me whether you can hear me so that we can start. So Armaan, now you are able to hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. So I think everybody can hear. So we'll start. First of all, Armaan, welcome to Exploring the Gold Mine.
Hi, thank you
Uh,
so much for having me.
I would like to tell you, viewers, a little bit about Armaan. Armaan is Executive Director, NCPEDP. He is a disability rights activist, presently heading National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People as its executive director, of course. Prior to this, he worked with Shishu Sarthi, Center for Rehabilitation and Training for Multiple Disability. Back in 2003, he was instrumental in setting up the Disability Laws Unit Northeast for protecting the rights of persons with disability through legal literacy and litigations under his leadership. Mr. Arman has played a pivotal role in bringing the disability sector together in the Northeast to form a network of organizations in this region. So this is a little bit about Arman, whatever I could find out, and there is much more to it. So we will find out during the course of our discussion. Arman, first of all, see, you have been instrumental in fighting for the rights of disabled people. So my first question is that, see, because disability are of different kinds for different people. So of course, do you think one kind of law for a disabled people is sufficient? Because I think all of them cannot be brought under one umbrella. To be very specific, physically disabled and mentally disabled are two different, I think, altogether different areas. So do you think the same kind of law would suffice, or there should be different laws for different kind of people?
First one should follow the Constitution of India, and the Constitution of India guarantees all rights to all citizen. And I think disabled people are also the citizen of this country.
Yeah.
Wherein you saw that disabled people are facing discrimination, and they don't uh, get access to their fundamental rights. And keeping in those points in mind, there was there's this law called the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. It
Yeah.
takes care of all disability. Now disability, if you look at the definition of disability, it is not very specific to a physical or a mental condition. It's
Hmm.
the barrier which the people confront when they come, when want to try to ensure that equal participation in the society on an equal basis with others, be it getting admission in school, or getting from one place to another, or finding a job. When disabled people find that they have not been accommodated, they have not been part of the planning or the development, because you don't
Hmm.
see any building you go, there's no staircase. If you have to go to first floor, there is always a staircase, there's a lift, so in some cases, but you will not find a building which has a ramp. Every building doesn't guarantee that. Even if you
Hmm.
go to a school, they will ask you to go to a blind child to take to a blind school, deaf child to deaf school. How
Hmm.
many schools will you create in every area? So to protect this kind of discrimination, there is this law, and it encompasses all disabilities. It has 21 categories of disability, and this law is very strong and a game changer. Over and above the right of persons with disabilities act 2016, there is this National Trust Act, which is specifically for severely disabled people who have this four conditions on which is very cognitive in nature.
Okay.
So I think we don't need many laws. There's one law which kind of guarantees rights of people with disabilities, and it encompasses all kind of disability. There is an acute lack of awareness about these laws among the
Yes.
large people at large. Yeah.
Yes. Uh, when you're talking, see, before coming to this awareness thing, I want to ask you one question about the NGO and National Center for Promotion of Employment for Disabled People. So, as I understand, that this is not an organization which provides employment, but it promotes, helps people to get employment. So, my question is that whether it works as a mediator between the person who wants an employment and the corporate. That is one way of functioning. Or are you also approaching different corporates or different companies to create spaces for disabled people in their organization? Because I understand that not all corporates would have it. Over
Even
to you,
though
Arman.
my organization is called National Center for Promotion of Employment,
Hmm.
it is not providing employment for disabled people directly. We don't do
Yeah.
that kind of job.
Hmm.
We are a kind of a think tank. We are a policy change organization. We interact with the government and the corporates to bring in equal opportunity policies for people with disability in the corporates. So we will not talk to each corporates individually. We rather go to the NASCOM or CII or FICI, such federations.
Okay.
There are cases where individual companies also come forward. So our idea is to promote this idea of equal opportunity and non-discrimination of people with disability. And we do not provide employment directly, but we want to influence private sector, which can create equal opportunity policies within their organization and promote employment for people with disability. We are not an organization which trains disabled people and place them for employment in corporates or other organizations.
Arman, when you're talking about, equal opportunities for disabled people in these corporates or other organizations, see, I'm not even looking at that level. I want to understand that whether at all is there a law which says that these many employees of an organization, the organization has to include some disabled people in their organization. Is
The
there
Rights of
anything
Persons
like
with
that?
Disabilities Act, the Rights of Persons with
Hmm.
Disabilities Act, very clearly mentioned that any establishment with
Okay.
more than 20 employees must have an equal
Okay.
opportunity policy, and they should register
Okay.
this policy with the Commissioner's Disabilities Office at the state level. So it doesn't mean
Hmm.
you're reserving seats or jobs for disabled people. It only means that you will not discriminate any person's basis on their disability. If you're looking for somebody who can be
Hmm.
could be a retailer, and you have a
Hmm.
store, and the
Hmm.
person may be deaf, so maybe just because
Hmm.
he's deaf or she is deaf, you will not discriminate. You will look at the skill set that you need for that job, and if the person has the
Hmm.
qualification and the skill set requires, you will not discriminate. And then if there is a need to provide some reasonable accommodation, um, to make that employee fit into your organization, which does not cost you a fortune, these things
Hmm.
has to be taken into account.
Yeah, so that means the organization should provide like kind of on the job training or something like that to
Yeah,
that.
whatever, if whatever it needs for the
Hmm.
person to fit in.
Hmm. And
Sometimes it is about building a
if he
accessible
is
environment.
if
Yeah,
he
please tell me.
hmm. And for example, suppose he is not being accepted by the organization or has been rejected for whatever disability he has, so he has the right to move the court, or what does he
Yes,
do
it's a
in that
punishable
case?
offense. It's a punishable offense if you discriminate, insult, or
Okay.
abuse somebody in public view. You may land up in jail for
Huh.
6 months to 5 years. There's a 50,000 to 5 lakh rupees of penalty basis on such an offense. So one must report such kind of an incident.
So that could be reported to the nearest police station, or he has to go to the
One can
judiciary
file
system. How is
yeah,
it?
these are new laws, so this has to be tried and tested. One can file an
Okay.
FIR under the relevant sections of the
Hmm.
RPWD Act, and also
Hmm.
inform the Commissioner for Disability. The session court in every
Hmm.
district has been designated. There is a special judge to deal with such cases.
Okay.
So that is where it will be taken up.
So that's really important. What Arman has said. I would like to share with all my viewers that if this there is someone who is discriminating, against a person who is disabled or who is specially able, differently able, whatever. In that case, that is a punishable offense, and that should be definitely reported, because that is how we can create awareness about this. Arman, I would like to take up two, three topics which, probably it's not completely under the rights of disabled people, but because I have been speaking to so many people who are specially abled, and I commonly find couple of common things and through our viewers, I would like to also tell them about this. So one important thing that came up during my discussions with them was that all of them, They want, inclusive education, and I was, see, inclusive education, I want to tell my viewers that the people with disability going to the same school as normal people, because the main idea why they wanted this to happen was that they're saying that once we are out of schools and we face the world, that time we have to, or we go to a corporate or we work somewhere, we are facing normal people. But when we grow up, we are given different treatment. So that doesn't add up, or that doesn't match. First of all, uh, my apprehension then was that of course these people might get bullied, these children might get bullied. And these people, they are so mature, they said of course we might get bullied, but then we know how to face the world at a very early age. So Arman, what is your take on this? How you look at this inclusive education thing?
I think inclusive education is the only way forward. You cannot create schools in every district or every village for different disabilities. Where is the resources? And it's the right of the children. Education is a fundamental right under the right to education.
Hmm,
And the amendment of the constitution, education is a fundamental right. It is the duty on the state to provide education to every child up to the age of 14. When it comes to children with
hmm,
disability, it goes up to the age of 18. And if you don't have children with disability and non-disabled children together, how will they learn? How will they know the diversity? And they they don't even know that they exist. I think that is a major problem with
hmm.
our society. Something you
Absolutely.
don't say, you think you don't
Hmm,
exist.
hmm. Uh, to our viewers, I would also like to say, see, we had, and Arman, recently we had a transgender model on our show. Her name was Khushi Sheikh. She specifically mentioned that, these are, I might as well categorize them as special people because they are transgenders. So they as well said the same thing, that we want inclusive education so that we are accepted from a very early age. So I really understand, like we as normal people may not be ready to accept them, but they are ready to accept the society as it is. And even after the Rights of Persons with Disability Act 2016, there has been no remarkable changes, it seems to be, in schools, so that they could include people with disability in the schools. Because I don't see schools still having ramps, I don't see schools still using a braille system on the lift elevators, uh, so how do we have more inclusiveness? What is the way ahead? How do we do it?
Vandana ji,
Over to you,
about
Arman.
making inclusive education is not having about a ramp or a lift. It's an entire idea of education, the entire curriculum, the how you meet, how you teach, how the student learn. There has to be a universal design of teaching and learning. It is not limited to a physical infrastructure. Infrastructure gets you there. And not from the school, you have to look at the transport system. How do we have an accessible transport system that all kind of children can reach the school, and then the school is accessible in a way that one is able to move freely across across the school in every section, from the library to the science lab to the different classroom. But having said that, you need to recognize that the curriculum, which what you teach, what is the method of teaching that you have, that you are able to teach in Hindi. You are, for example, if you're like you're teaching Hindi and you're also teaching English, and but the students come from alag background, very different. They have different mother tongues. Similarly, there are
Hmm,
different disability in a same classroom. So
hmm,
somebody may have be blind, somebody may have deafness, somebody may be orthopedically disabled. So how do you take everybody along? तो इस तरीके की जो नुआंसेस हैं, इनके बारे में सोचना जरूरी है. जो हमारा
hmm.
नया जो नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है, बहुत अच्छी तरह से इसके बारे में बात कर रहा है कि कैसे अर्ली
Okay.
चाइल्डहुड डेवलपमेंट में डिसेबल्ड चिल्ड्रन को आइडेंटिफाई किया जाए, उनको कैसे इंक्लूसिव कहा जाए, इंक्लूसिव कैंपसेस की बात की गई है। सो 2030 तक जो स्ट्रेटेजी बनेगा भारत सरकार के लिए जो शिक्षा को लेकर, वो काफी इंक्लूसिव है। उसके लिए जागरूकता लाने की जरूरत है, और स्कूल पहुंचना एक मुद्दा एक है, स्कूल में मूवमेंट हर जगह कर पाना इंडिपेंडेंटली एक दूसरा, और जो भी वहाँ सीखने को मिलता है इस तरीके से मिले जो हर स्टूडेंट बराबर से सीख पाए और अपनी क्षमता पूरी क्षमता तक पहुंच पाए, उसको उसको ध्यान रखना
हम्म।
पड़ेगा।
अ, अरमान, यहाँ मैं एक बहुत ही सेंसिटिव मुद्दे को टच करना चाहूंगी विदाउट हर्टिंग एनीबॉडीज सेंटिमेंट्स, कि हम जो भारतीय लोग हैं, हम वी आर वेरी वेरी सेंसिटिव बाय नेचर। हम बहुत सेंसिटिव हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ द सेंस कि हम लोग वी आर सेंसिटिव टुवर्ड्स एनिमल्स, वी आर आल्सो सेंसिटिव टुवर्ड्स ट्रीज, वी आर सेंसिटिव टुवर्ड्स मेनी थिंग्स। लेकिन मुझे मेरा पर्सनल व्यू है कि जब हम वी कम टू दिस सेक्शन ऑफ पीपल हु आर डिसेबल्ड, I see that people lack compassion. So I'm not talking about pity, I'm talking about compassion, which is definitely required. For example, 2 years back I visited Europe, and वहां पर मैंने जो देखा disabled लोगों के लिए, that changed my entire attitude. And since then I've been thinking of doing a session on this. वहां पर लोग हमसे ज्यादा, हमसे कम सोशल होंगे, हमसे कम इंटरैक्टिव होंगे, लेकिन they have such a attitude for disabled people. अगर कोई disabled person रास्ता क्रॉस कर रहा है, चाहे गाड़ी कोई भी स्पीड में आ रही हो, इमीडिएटली रुक जाती है। चाहे वो जीब्रा क्रॉसिंग भी नहीं हो, एंड देयर विल बी समवन, कोई ना कोई वहां मिल ही जाएगा जो उनको हेल्प कर देगा रास्ता क्रॉस करने में। जैसे कि हम एक बस में, वहां तो हमारे यहाँ तो बस में कंडक्टर्स होते हैं, वहां सिर्फ ड्राइवर ही बस ड्राइव करते हैं और कोई एक्स्ट्रा हेल्पर नहीं होता। जैसे ही ड्राइवर देखते हैं कि कोई डिसेबल पर्सन आ रहा है, इमीडिएटली रैंप बाहर निकाल देते हैं। दे आर सो सेंसिटिव। तो हमारे केस में मुझे लगता है कि बहुत हमारी सेंसिटिविटी बहुत कम है, कंपैशन बहुत कम है। दैट कुड बी बिकॉज वी आर नॉट अवेयर, दैट कुड बी बिकॉज देयर इज नो प्रॉपर लेजिस्लेशन, या हमें एक बार वी हैव टू, वी आर नॉट थिंकिंग अबाउट इट। उसकी बात क्यों करें सर? आपका जो इनफेमस उबर केस था, अगर हम उसकी भी बारे में बात करें, तो दैट वाज क्वाइट एन इनसेंसिटिव केस। तो ये चीज जो भारत में हो रही है, मैंने देखा है बाहर के देशों में इस चीज पर बहुत ज्यादा वो है, अंडरस्टैंडिंग है। व्हाट डू यू से अबाउट दिस, अरमान?
पॉलिटिकल विल नहीं है हमारे देश में, हिपोक्रेट्स हैं हम सब। हाँ, सो एंड जो दिखता नहीं है हम सोचते हैं वो है नहीं। 10 करोड़ विकलांग लोग हैं हमारे देश में।
हम्म।
जब इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऐसा नहीं है कि वो स्कूल जा पाए या एक मार्केट जा पाए या जॉब्स कर पाए तो दिखेंगे नहीं, तो आप सोचते हैं वो है नहीं।
हम्म।
और जो है नहीं उसके खिलाफ आप उसके बारे में सोचते ही नहीं है आप। और हिस्टोरिकली आप देखेंगे, इवन यू गो टू यूरोप और द यूएस और वेरेवर यू गो, पीपल विद डिसेबिलिटी स्ट्रगलिंग।
हम्म।
आपका स्ट्रगल या तो सर्वाइवल के लिए है या इक्वल पार्टिसिपेशन के लिए है। हमारे यहाँ सर्वाइवल के लिए है, जहाँ लोग मांगते हैं कि हमको स्कूल में शिक्षा चाहिए, हमको हेल्थ स्वास्थ्य चाहिए, हमको रोजगार चाहिए। जो जो वेस्ट में आर्ग्यूमेंट है कि हम प्लेन चलाएंगे, हमको भी बराबर पे चाहिए, हमको सो दे वांट टू डू ऑल काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स जो नॉन डिसेबल्ड लोग करते हैं। मूवमेंट में भी इश्यूज है, एक्सेसिबिलिटी के भी काफी इश्यूज है। और बहुत छोटे देश है, मतलब गुवाहाटी से भी छोटा देश है यूरोप में। आप जाएंगे छोटे छोटे देश है, हमसे कई मतलब कम, बहुत ज्यादा ही कम पॉपुलेशन है। तो प्लानिंग इज मच इजियर, देयर आर वेल्दियर देन अस। हमारे यहाँ नंबर्स ज्यादा है, और पॉलिटिकल विल बिल्कुल भी नहीं है हमारे। शर्म नहीं है हमारे आंख में, हमारे लिए कुछ ये नॉट सेंसिटिव। हम बहुत हिपोक्रेट टाइप के लोग हैं भारत में। कहते कुछ है, मतलब कुछ और है। और एक कोई भी चीज आप देखिए बन रहा है, उसमें आप नहीं देखते हैं कि डिसेबिलिटीज इंक्लूडेड। आखिरी में लड़ झगड़ के उसमें डालना पड़ता है।
नथिंग।
सो दैट इज, या सो दैट इज व्हाट।
Is it because, Arman, because this portion, this part of society is not considered as an important vote bank? Is it? Is it? It could be something like that. या तो
वो नहीं, वोट
इसको।
बैंक भी है इसे। हिस्टोरिकली यू लुकिंग एट डिसेबिलिटी, अब आप को दया का पात्र ही समझते हैं लोग। और जो दया का पात्र है वो वोट बैंक पॉलिटिक्स, पॉलिटिकल इशू है ही, क्योंकि ये वोट वोट नहीं कर पाएंगे तो ये अब जिता नहीं पाएंगे। और अगर जिता दिया तो इनकी मांगे पूरी नहीं हुई तो फिर ये प्रोटेस्ट करके आपकी सरकार को गिरा नहीं पाएंगे। तो ये सारे इश्यूज भी है। But time things are changing. Disabled people are getting aware. Disabled people are demanding their rights. So in times to come, this will also be challenged.
So, Arman, when I was speaking to quite a few disabled people, one important area which came up was that information barrier. तो वो कहते हैं कि इंफॉर्मेशन बहुत बड़ा बैरियर है कि क्या हो रहा है, क्या नहीं हो रहा है, हम कहाँ जा सकते हैं, हम क्या कर सकते हैं. So these people have no access to that. They don't know what is their scope or area of work, or how can they do their career planning. उनके लिए क्या career planning हो सकती है. So this information barrier, वो कहते हैं कि बहुत ज्यादा अफेक्ट कर रहा है उनको. तो I mean, how can that be reduced? I mean,
नहीं, इंफॉर्मेशन जो है ना तो एक्सेसिबल फॉर्मेट में नहीं है. आज अगर आप किसी भी चीज को
okay.
इंफॉर्मेशन के आप बात करेंगे तो
Hmm.
ऐसा फॉर्मेट में नहीं है कि जो विकलांग लोगों तक पहुंच पाए या उनके 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 हिसाब से पहुंच पाए. सो इट हैम्पर्स. और इंफॉर्मेशन अगर कैरियर की बात करेंगे तो हर स्टेट में, हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में ऐसा तो कोई सेंटर है नहीं कि जहां आपको पता चल जाए कि मैं क्या कैरियर कर पाऊँ. उनको व्हेन यू आर
Hmm.
ड्रॉप्ड आउट ऑफ एजुकेशन सिस्टम ओनली, तो फिर आप कैरियर पाथ कैसे बनेगा. आप
Hmm.
यूनेस्को की रिपोर्ट देख लीजिए कि 75% ऑफ चिल्ड्रन विद डिसेबिलिटी वो सेकेंडरी लेवल पे ही स्कूल से ड्रॉप आउट हो जाते हैं. और ये
Okay.
25% है वो उसमें से 1% ही पहुंचता है हायर एजुकेशन तक. तो क्या कैरियर पाथ हो सकता है इनको, क्या मिल सकता है इनको. तो
Hmm.
बहुत सोचने की जरूरत है कि आपने ऐसा सिस्टम ही नहीं बनाया विच टेक्स एवरीबडी टेक डिसेबल्ड पीपल अलोंग. ऐसा तो सिस्टम ही नहीं है हमारा.
Hmm.
और आप कोरोना के टाइम पे ही देख लीजिए कि इतना इंफॉर्मेशन
जी.
जा रहा है कि लॉकडाउन के ये नियम है, लॉकडाउन के वो नियम है. जो ब्लाइंड व्यक्ति है वो
Hmm.
कैसे पढ़ेगा, जो डेफ है जिसको सुनाई नहीं देता वो कैसे समझेगा. तो तो इस तरीके से आप देखिए कोविड का ही हुआ तो कोविड टेस्ट कैसा होगा, अगर विकलांग आदमी को कोविड हो गया तो वो कैसे रहेगा. तो बहुत सारे इश्यूज हैं जो हम सोचते नहीं है. मतलब जो किसी ना किसी का तो सपोर्ट लेता ही है जो विकलांग है. तो सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग कैसे करेगा.
Hmm.
तो बहुत सारी
Hmm.
बातें हैं, हर चीज में सोचना पड़ता है. इलेक्शंस है, आप एजुकेशन है, आप कॉर्पोरेट्स हो, ट्रांसपोर्ट हो, अब
Hmm.
डिजास्टर, कोई डिजास्टर हो जाए, फ्लड्स होते हैं आसाम में, डिजास्टर के ऊपर कानून है कि विकलांग लोगों का
Hmm.
डेटा अलग होना चाहिए, उनको पहले से रेस्क्यू
Hmm.
करना चाहिए. तो ऑल दीज इश्यूज आर नेवर
Hmm.
डिस्कस्ड और नेवर थॉट थ्रू. तो बहुत कुछ करना बाकी है.
Hmm. And then I would next quickly take a little small topic of technology. So I am made to understand that जो भी disabled people हैं, this is view from people who are disabled. I have done a small research on this. तो वो कह रहे हैं like people who are disabled, who are educated and who are well placed also today. तो वो कहते हैं कि टेक्नोलॉजी का सहारा लेना आज के दिन बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि बहुत सारी टेक्नोलॉजिकल ऐसी चीजें हैं जिससे हम हेल्प ले सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई नो अ पर्सन हु कैन नॉट सी, yet he has done his management from IIM Kolkata. Probably Arman, you also know him, Ritesh Agarwal. um, this person, he was telling कि टेक्नोलॉजी में बहुत कुछ ऐसा है जो हम यूज कर सकते हैं and which people are not aware and which they are not taking help of. So do you think similarly, or you think that no, it could be only for a section of disabled kind of?
रितेश से अब आई थिंक ब्लाइंड के लिए बहुत ही एनेबलर है, बहुत ज्यादा. रितेश is one.
Okay.
There is somebody I just met who's a AI scientist with Microsoft, lives in Seattle, originally from Delhi. तो काफी लोग हैं ब्लाइंड में, बहुत लोग
Okay.
हैं जो दे आर अचीवर्स, नॉट वन और टू. मतलब बहुत बहुत ज्यादा है, ग्लोबली बहुत ज्यादा, वेरी स्मार्ट. एंड जिसने टेक्नोलॉजी का सहारा लिया बचपन से वो बहुत आगे है.
Hmm.
इट्स अ ग्रेट एनेबलर. बट गरीब होते हैं जो विकलांग होते हैं, अ, अ, तो ये एक्वायर नहीं कर पाते हैं इस तरह की टेक्नोलॉजी, क्योंकि ये एक्सपेंसिव भी है. वेल टू डू फैमिली से जो आते हैं उन जिनके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है वो कर पाते हैं. जो गरीब
Hmm.
है, जो गांव में है, जो पिछड़ा है, वो कहाँ से लेके आएगा?
जी।
तो ये सारे डिजिटल डिवाइड बहुत बड़ा है हमारे देश में. There are many disabled people who are
Hmm.
blind and doing fantastic in life.
Hmm. Okay, so this is more specific to people who are blind kind of
There is
disability.
technology for everybody. There is technology, but it largely benefits people with blindness hugely. बहुत ज़्यादा. अभी तो robotics की wearable robotics की बात हो रही है. डेफ लोगों के लिए है, ऑटिज्म के लिए बना, हर डिसेबिलिटी के लिए है. बट इट रियली एडवांस हो गया है. आप व्हेन यू बाय एन आईफोन और बाय ए सैमसंग और एनीथिंग, it comes with a technology which helps the blind automatically. It is a feature you don't have to pay extra for. For example, you can buy
Okay.
software which reads for you. So it's been very well in crafted. If you look at the elevators, there are embossed buttons. In manufacturing नहीं
Yes.
आ रहा है.
Hmm.
It's part of the
Hmm.
original equipment manufacturing. ऐसा नहीं कि बाद में आपको
Hmm.
लगाना पड़ रहा है. Talking lifts, people
Hmm.
announcing first floor, second floor. So there has
Hmm.
been a lot of investment, but many other things that is need to be done. But we have made a lot of headway in terms of technology.
Okay, see, one more thing, like when you're talking about, having rights in terms of, giving jobs in corporates. So there are many people who are disabled yet have amazing, fantastic qualities. Like a child I know, his name is Nikhil Bansal from Guwahati. So I have seen that he has an amazing quality in terms of painting. He can wonderfully sketch, he can paint. So, is there a scope for, or can they get some kind of help, in setting up their own school, or, do something about it? I mean,
And I'm
with,
sure they can find.
yeah, okay. So, okay.
So
So,
there is
yeah.
for Nikhil is not limited to painting. There are many other things he can do. So my point is, we should not stereotype disabled people. कि disabled है तो painting ही कर पाएगा या गाना ही गा पाएगा.
Hmm,
That kind of
hmm,
stuff. So
hmm.
there are technologies, there are avenues one should be able to use it.
So, going forward, what is the way ahead you see, Arman?
Going forward, people with disability has to be in the leadership role. They have to demand their rights. They have to ask questions, make it difficult for people to ignore disability, and not being a beneficiary asking for benefits and small perks of 100, 500 rupees here and there.
ओके, दैट्स वेरी नाइस. अरमान कहते हैं कि आगे चलकर जो भी हमारे डिसेबल्ड लोग हैं, विकलांग लोग हैं, उनके लिए ये बहुत जरूरी है कि वो सवाल पूछे, वो फाइट करे, वो दे टेक लीडरशिप रोल्स. तो यही आगे जाकर यही रास्ता है, और यही रास्ता हमें अपनाने की जरूरत है. और हमें भी ये जरूरत है कि हम उनको हेल्प करें, हम उनके तरफ कंपैशनेट व्यू रखें. और जैसे भी हमारे जो भी. एंड वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन अरमान, कि व्हाट यू थिंक दैट वी एज कॉमन पीपल वी कैन डू टू हेल्प दिस सेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी टू कम अप.
कुछ भी कीजिए, यू मस्ट इमेजिन कि वहां विकलांग व्यक्ति आएगा. आप सोचिए कि अगला प्राइम मिनिस्टर व्हील चेयर पे होगा. आप कोई प्रोग्राम कर रही हैं, आप ये प्रोग्राम किया, आपने सोचा कि कोई ब्लाइंड व्यक्ति भी सुन रहा है, कोई डेफ बॉय सुनेगा, सब टाइटलिंग होगी नहीं. सो इन एवरीथिंग दैट वी डू इन लाइफ, घर में शादी है या कोई फंक्शन है, कोई आप रिक्रूट कर रहे हैं, या यू हैव टू इमेजिन कि डिसेबल्ड लोग भी आएंगे इस पार्टिसिपेंट में. देन दैट इज हाउ इट विल
Yeah, which
चेंज.
is a fact which we completely ignore. Yes,
यस.
yes. So thank you so much, Arman. Thank you so much
थैंक यू
for coming with us, for
वंदना
being
जी.
on the show. And
Apologies, बहुत दिन we could not make it earlier, and initially there was some glitch.
no, that
Apologies
gave
for
me
that.
quite some time to talk to people and research about this. But all's well that ends well, Arman. Thank you so much for being on the show.
जरूर जरूर. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.